everyone, this is Granny Josie. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to do the second part of my series on the 5 stages of grieving. And you know this is based on my book that I'm in the process of writing, plus it's on my personal life and my medical life as a nurse. And first of all, I want to show you some beautiful rocks. And I love what they say. That says faith, believe, courage, and dream. Also, I'm going to read my disclaimer. The information contained in this video is not a substitute for advice from a qualified licensed therapist. If you really cannot get over some of the grieving stages by yourself, then you need to go find some professional help. And also, I'm sure some were wondering why I'm sharing some of my personal life, my past personal life. I think that if I help 1 or 2 people, it's all worth it. So bear with me. Hopefully you get something out of this, and I will be doing this continually. I think in my book I'm up to chapter 6, and I will be at least doing 10 chapters before I consider it done. When I'm reading parts of my book, now I'm going to skim through it. I'm not going to read word for word. So if this sounds a little weird to you, I don't want to reveal everything in my book. So anyway, bear with me. And today I'm going to address denial again, because to me it's the most difficult stage. And this is what I have to say. And like I said, I'm not going to read word for word. This is a very difficult stage, sometimes so hard when family members refuse to believe the true facts after test results are reported. Now, to me, that was the most difficult part when my daughter was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy. And as I say, they don't realize not facing the truth can cause many hours and months of stress, even in some cases causing a divorce. For example, I will talk about my life. When my daughter was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy, I knew and believed the doctors. Her condition was obvious. You could just look at her and see something was terribly wrong. Yet I had 2 family members who believed it was all in my head, saying things like I didn't feed her enough. This was most difficult on me. Besides living with the fact my daughter was probably going to die, I had no backing or support. My husband was a quiet man and really didn't know how to handle the situation, so I felt like I was all alone in the world. After my precious daughter died, I became very cold and wanted a divorce. And after I got older and realized this was not the right thing to do, even after many years, my ex said, our mothers did not help things, did they? Denial is the worst stage to be in. Facing facts is much easier to deal with, as far as I'm concerned. Remember, denying things does not make it go away. Facing facts, even in the worst cases, does not mean you're giving up hope. Never give up hope. Always have hope. There is always hope if you're a believer. So as a family member, be there. Even if you don't understand, showing kindness and understanding will sometimes create miracles. And I do believe in miracles. And I know it's hard sometimes to face the truth that you're going to lose a loved one. But denying it and being difficult and giving others problems is not helping it. It only makes it worse. And like myself, I cried by myself. And I got to the point, I remember the exact day when I cried my last tear. It hurt so bad, but I remember that day. And after my daughter passed away, it actually took me a year to cry again because I had cried so much before. And as I mentioned, my ex-husband, he's a wonderful man. We were just young, and he was very quiet, and he dealt with it the best way he could. And I guess I dealt with it the best way I could. But it didn't make it right or didn't make it wrong. It was just a bad situation. So that's why I stress facing reality. And for people who know me, sometimes I appear very blunt, maybe a little on the harsh side, because I tell the truth, and that the truth in my eyes, I don't try to hide anything, and that's harsh. I realize that, but probably because what I've been through, to me, facing reality is a lot easier than being in the denial stage. So that's why I really push on the denial stage, that it is the worst stage. Okay, I'll start with chapter 1. Knowing the different stages of cancer and how it affects your life and loved ones. Right now, I won't cover all the stages of grieving or the way it affects your family and lifestyle. The first stage, when you and your loved ones first find out they have cancer or a disease that could take their life. First reaction, disbelief. No, that's not really what I heard. The doctors must have made a mistake. I must have heard wrong. Maybe then they even read the results incorrectly. All of those things seem to go through your mind. This could be the patient's and the family member's first reaction. Now, my reaction was a little different due to the fact I'm a retired nurse. My thoughts were, oh no. Thoughts of all times, through all the times I spent with the families and patients that died of cancer. Do I go through this again, but this time with someone that's part of me? We spent many years of our lives together, but then again, just maybe this will be different. Maybe this is not real to human error. This is what you would really call first stage denial. We all go through this one, whether family members or a nurse. This one always hits you in the face. A few days go by, maybe makes it even less real. The patient may just have symptoms, nothing really serious at this time. So this even makes it easier to go into denial. Then the doctor wants to run more tests, so you can start going through all the numerous appointments. This brings some reality into the picture. You may even run into people who are further along in the process, and this becomes most difficult. We never want to see where we may be later in dealing with any illness. Then you have all those lovely medical people who, yes, been there, done that, try to smile, make the patient and the family think positive. Positive is good and needed in most cases, but I found it to be more difficult being a nurse. Sometimes being dumb is good, not knowing what might be in store. Sometimes it's real good. Okay, what's next? Doctors, there may be several of them making decisions on the care plan, deciding whether surgery should be considered. It might just buy some time or even a chance they may be able to remove all the cancer. Hey, why not give it a try? What do I have to lose? Okay, we decided to have surgery. More tests are needed. Again, we have these smiling medical people. Again, some of this is needed. Although there was a few times I wish I could slap their faces and say, hey folks, this is me or this is my family member. We're having to face all of this and we don't feel like smiling. So would you just wipe the smile off your face and let's talk about the real world. The real world now is the subject to talk about. The real world of cancer. Anyway, now the patient is scheduled for surgery, and you as a family member and the caregiver has to face this little more real. This is really happening. So we're at the hospital. Your family member is in surgery. Excuse me. I remember this one in the waiting room, like maybe 4 hours. Since I was by myself, only the sweet, talkative volunteer lady who talked nonstop. Bless her, she kept me busy, although I couldn't really remember a word she said. Okay, so finally surgery is done. Patient did well, maybe even better than I was. And like most of the time, the doctors come out and say, think we got it all. Okay, what else is the doctor going to say at this time? So you spend a few days, you spend a few days, patient and the family member is in the hospital. So you both do pretty well considering. So then it's time to go home. And you think at this time everyone is feeling positive. We start going in a good old denial again. This is the end of cancer. We're going to be fine. Although most patients start chemo or radiation, patients and caregivers can't completely go into denial, but it's coming. For a time, the patient seems to show some improvement. Friends and family members come to visit. And what can these poor people say? Oh, he looks so good. But you're with your patient every day, or if you're a family member, 24 hours a day. You see the bad and the difficult times. And again, you say, well, maybe they're getting better. So, denial is back for a time. Now you've been doing good for a while and leading a pretty normal life, even start to feel good about everything. Then one day the person you love or are caring for starts complaining about not feeling well and shows signs of the illness again. Now there's even more symptoms than there were present before now. Here we go again, but now the caregiver really knows something has changed and not for the good. After many tests and treatments, the stage of anger, bargaining, and some depression set in for both the patient and the caregiver. After a long battle, acceptance finally is there in your heart. How the caregiver feels about caring for a loved one who is dying from cancer. The hardest thing, I think, is to face this 24 hours a day, especially when you know from your medical experience that there's not much hope for the future. The daily duties of caring for someone who's unable to do even the simplest things, like washing one's face, going to the bathroom. There are other things most of us take for granted. When the person realizes things are changing in their life, all of a sudden they're upset with everyone and go into complete denial. That's when you start to see the personality changes. Many become difficult to reason or to get along with on the simple decisions and things that occur every day. This will test your love numerous times a day and test you as a caregiver. Watching a loved one change is something I noticed before I knew my husband was diagnosed with a brain tumor. There are little things at first. The person becomes picky about everything, then probably never notices they complain about small things like where you put the towels, why don't you eat this or that. They attempt to take over your life even when they know they are losing control of theirs own. They seem to complain about everything and everyone. Does not mean everyone who displays these things have a terrible disease or any type of illness, but it's worth observing carefully. Keep a record of their daily complaints of behaviors. After a while, you may notice a pattern, maybe physical or mental conditions happening to this person. What's needed is to listen with love and concern and again see if this is a pattern of behaviors. Watching and listening should be the main focus. After keeping a journal for several weeks, and if there is a pattern, then the doctor should be contacted. Remember, you should be gentle when suggesting a doctor's appointment. Sometimes it's difficult because people who are ill do not always listen to their loved ones. Denial is one of the most difficult stages we all go through in any type of illness or tragedies. How does a spouse feel or react when a second husband is diagnosed with cancer? Disbelief that it could happen again. And I will leave it at that point for this session. Like I said, and as my book goes on, I'm not only dealing with cancer, I'm dealing with divorce, losing a pet, how maybe a child feels about losing a pet. There's so many aspects of denial. And believe it or not, there's going to be some positive things about acceptance when you're finally into that stage and you get over all of this tragedy. Yes, you never forget. You never forget when you lose a loved one. I am not trying to say that it's easy, but you do eventually recover. You do have a special place in your heart for that loved one, but you do go on with your life and you can be happy again. And I hope this helps a little. If you have any questions, remember in the comment section, I will put my email address, and I welcome anything you want to say. If you want to comment about your life, if you want to comment about my material, my book, if you have questions, it is all private. If I come across information that I think might be helpful in my book, I will ask you and get written permission to quote you in the book. Anyway, I don't want to make these long. And if you do have questions and you would like me to address them in my videos, let me know. I will, or if you want me to address it privately to you. Anyway, have a great day and hope I help someone. Think positive. Life is beautiful. No matter what we have to go through, life is precious, and enjoy it and be happy and be kind. Love you guys. Bye.